so this is going to be my take 3. Where we're sitting, we're going to touch on the business aspect of my little shop. We're going to touch on the production aspect of my little shop. And I want to get into chemistry a little bit. I'm going to try not to make this roll on for 25 minutes. So we got 9:13, and I got to head up to the shop here in about 45 minutes. Let's start with, I got footage of a 60 VW we're cutting apart. My guys are going slowly, going through and cutting all the bad metal out. They're going to go all the way around it. It's off the chassis, sitting on stands. They're going slowly. I should have had it done last week, but this is an amazing tool for green help. These guys are greenhorns. They know it. I know it. I'm okay with this. Production aspect. There you go. Greenhorns. I looked around. I spoke with people. I interviewed a couple guys, and I can get very well trained, high end people in the shop, but they're very well trained and high end on one segment of the market, and that's collision. Well, I do about this much collision in comparison to everything else. That's a problem. Your chances are very good if you have a young man that's very well versed in collision and production. You drop him in the middle of a small, low production restoration atmosphere, they're lost because the situations are different. I've had to put the boss hat on and chew asses this week, and it's chewing asses. That's all it is. It's you motivate typically in 2 different ways. Patting on the back, good job, good job. Sometimes guys start getting soft and slow and lazy if you pat them on the back too many times, no matter how well they're doing. Sometimes you gotta come in and go, you're fucking up, you're fucking this up, you're fucking that up, you're doing this. You gotta point out all the negatives. And I try to do the negative with a positive and all that. Management training guru bullshit doesn't always work that way. And you guys are attentive, on time, and focused. And when they start feeling self-important, at the end of the day, we're all expendable. Me, little Joe, Charles, Isaiah, my shop. Each and every one of us as individuals are expendable. The shop is expendable. Your shop is expendable. What you do for your living, you're expendable. Your boss is expendable. We're all, at the end of the day. So if we any one of us begin to fail at producing our job, producing our widget numbers, you gotta take a long view of why you're there. So I had that talk. That sucked. Business-wise, I've been looking down the barrel of re-upping and figuring out an accounting software. That's gonna suck for me. Looking at software for estimating. Even if I've got to go through and tailor make line items for what I'm doing, I'll do that. I did that when I was a contractor. It doesn't matter how much or how little you charge. You have to charge for everything you do and everything you use, period. It's just pushing widgets. Service is a product, it's pushing widgets. The business side's all the same. And I've failed for 4 years. I've failed at that, realistically, honestly. I can be honest with me, I got to be honest with you. There you go. We put out a good quality of product, restorations, for the pay in, but there's lacking. So we're improving. Production, like I said, we've handled those bumps for now. They'll come up again. Business, I'm up in the game and looking at other avenues to expand to. Minor avenues that their entry-level cost is nil or minimal, because that's what we can afford right now. We'll have a repair video. I got to do inner tie rods on a PT Cruiser today, so I got to get this wrapped up, get it on, and get down to the shop. The other aspects to deal with is chemistry. Alright folks, here's the trick. Everything I've looked at, you treat rust, you're treating it with acid. Acetic acid vinegar, phosphoric acid, rust mort, Por 15 wash products, IES Rusturator, phosphoric acid. Naval jelly is either phosphoric acid or sulfuric acid, not sure which. I'd have to read the label and figure out what I'm dealing with chemically there. I used it as per instructions before. I've got some at the shop, but I never really looked at it to see what it's made out of. I didn't have much luck with it. So acetic acid, which is vinegar, your phosphoric acid products, which are all your spray and wipe or spray and wash or brush on, whatever, turns it into a black phosphorus compound that you can paint right over. Those are lies also. It will unadhere from the parent metal and you'll have a mess on your hands in short order. And there's guys I see using a citrus product. Well, citrus products, guess what? Citric acid. So I'm hoping this winter I can do some test plates of acetic, phosphoric, and actually muriatic acid. Muriatic acid, I should be able to mix it, cut it with water, 2-to-1 or 4-to-1. But about a quart of $5.29. All the phosphoric acid products I've bought are $20 to $25 a quart sprayable. I can mix up 4 to 5 quarts sprayable, depending on how much I dilute the muriatic acid. Muriatic acid is more caustic than phosphoric, so there's a certain safety hazards that's going to be involved, of course. But you manage risk, you manage your safety, you take that very seriously. So I'm going to try to do some test plates and show how that works out. I'm going to work with muriatic acid, see how it works out for us. But you're treating rust with muriatic acid. The next one is, everybody's talking about guide coat and using old spray paint. If you're going to do that, that's fine. Use a flat sheen, not a semi-gloss, not a gloss. It'll fuck up your sandpaper, you won't get anywhere in a hurry. First, you have to take off all that quote guide coat, if it's gloss or semi, and then you can actually get to sanding, because all it does is clog your paper. I started using a powdered graphite, and I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna go to spray paint again. I don't give a. It cost me $25 for this little dish. It looks like a mother's carnauba wax container. Really, it's about the same size. You flip it over and you get a little sponge thingy and you daub the sponge on the car and you run like hell. The thing of it is, this stuff, it adheres to the automobile, and then you sand that off, and what you've sanded off is inert. It won't stick, those little black flecks won't stick back to the panel. They're done. You can blow it off, you can wash it off with water, you can wipe it down with any number of things. Even Prep-All won't take this graphite out of the surface, but the graphite isn't going to hurt other substrates. If you got to use glazing putty or sealer over it, don't suggest it. Sand it all off. That's what it's there for. But there's outs, okay? And I'm not worried about using a lacquer product with automotive paint. Lastly is our high build compounds. I use a sealer from a company called MIPA. This sealer is amazing. I haven't plumbed the depths of it yet. I mean, they're using it for industrial, they're using it for all kinds of applications. It's a 2K. You can cut it with acetone. It shrinks back. When you cut it with acetone, it shrinks back maybe 20% overnight, and then it's done shrinking. It doesn't shrink further. How do I know? Because with all these products I'm talking about, I pour the leavings in the mixing cup, stick the stir stick in there, because I'll use my sealer cups a couple times. I'll use my slick sand cups a couple times. I'll use my clear cups a couple times, because I keep using the same products. I leave the stir stick in there with the leavings, and usually, it's only a little thin film on the bottom. Sometimes I overshoot, I have a lot left over, and I waste product, and I'm mad at myself. That's life. Fuck it, move on. And it shrinks back. I can gauge the shrinkage, and I've had various thicknesses of pucks of this MIPA. It's good stuff. It's a very rigid, firm substrate. It locks anything down. It's fairly inert when it hits the panel. Then you cut it with acetone. I've shot some questionable substrates with this MIPA, and it was cut with acetone, and it's weird, because where you're supposed to get a fisheye or a trailing mark from a contaminant on the surface. Let's say we're just shooting a piece of equipment, piece of job site equipment. We're not going to clean it up real well, okay? We're gonna clean it up best we can and get a shot. Shoot it with that, and it's like it burns that shit off with the acetone in it. All right, before that, you know, and that stuff is neat. It's unique because it's an epoxy that's sandable. You can block it. You can build it up as heavy as say slick sand. You can wet sand it. You can shoot it wet on wet as long as you allow appropriate flash times. It's an amazing product. I'm very pleased with it. Typically, when I go wet on wet or whatever, it's not wet on wet. I'll let it flash out and become firm. Then I can knock any dust specks out of that, and then go right into paint. That's typically how I utilize it when I'm going straight into paint, because it's still active. The paint solvents will blend, melt into that. There will be a chemical bond, and it'll flow out a little bit more with the paint. Not much, but if you got a lump or something, it does. I've had some imperfect panels that have come out damn near perfect because of it. Prior to that, I used slick sand for everything, but you have to use a DTM, direct to metal corrosive protection over that. You can cut slick sand with acetone, and you get about the same shrinkage, 10-20%, depending on how much you reduce it. Slick sand doesn't shrink. If you use it straight out of the can, slick sand doesn't shrink. At least not on the initial. I've heard years down the road it'll start shrinking. I haven't had anything come back from years ago. So I don't use 2K primers unless it's a cheap parking lot car flip junk job, and that's just to give me something to paint over, make everything one color. Because it does shrink back. 2K primer shrinks back as much as 50%. It's insane. If you don't have time to set it out and in the sun for a week, I wouldn't use it, because the shrinkage is so profound. That's what I use, why I use, how I use. Remember, if your only response to why do you do it that way or why do you use that, if your only response is, well, that's how I was taught, you need to seriously rethink what the fuck you're doing. If that's how you were taught, there may be extraneous circumstances to the person that taught you why they used it that way. Limitations in their environment, in their skills, in the products available at the time. You need to rethink. If that's how I was taught and that's how I do it, you need to rethink your stratagem from there. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents worth. This is Adam, Sunday Morning Coffee. I'm out of here.